Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Information Man
Tell
Show.
the truth. Tell the truth.
Do you want truth?
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
If you don't want truth, this is not the channel for you.
Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Tell the truth.
Yes. Truth.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
In the White House, I'm not gonna say his name. Jack Lake.
Tell the truth.
If you want truth,
Tell the truth.
the Information Show is the place for you. Truth.
Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make
We're
sure
trying to examine, open up one's mind, and understand the shit that's happening in American society and around the world. Information Man Show.
Information is power.
Hey, bro, you on mute again.
All right. Once again, we're back on live on the first channel. Thanks a lot for that, brother. We're back on live on the first. We're on the first channel. I made a big boo-boo having us on the second channel. So later on tonight, we will get into that issue about what's happening with Will and Jada on that second channel, which is the podcast channel. So I want to thank everybody who's come over from the second channel into the chat room. And we're going to continue to go on. These brothers that I have on are Off the Record podcast. Great brothers. They're from Baltimore. We were talking about earlier on the second channel about fatherhood, what fatherhood means, control of black male image. And so we're going to talk about many more issues. I'm just glad that I've got them on the right channel. And I'm trying to fix these boo-boos today. So they've been very gracious, very humble within the situation, but we're going to go forward. Let's go into it right now. I have you brothers here. You're back. You're on the right channel. We were talking about fatherhood. The brothers were introducing themselves as well as to some of the platforms that they've got. They got what they got going on. But brothers, let's take it from there. Who was last talking when we were on the other channel? Who was talking before?
Well, I think I was up. I think I was talking.
Okay, go right ahead, brother.
Brandon was getting ready to go.
Oh yeah, was you about to go, Brandon?
I may have.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry
go
for
ahead.
all the confusion.
Well, we were talking about fatherhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, as far as like fatherhood and you know, again, just to pretty much build on what I said last time. I mean, there is you know some type of negative stereotypes about black men and fatherhood, and when in actuality we're probably one of the most active fathers out there. To be honest with you, we just finished three of us. Me, Mike, and Quan finished doing a Father's Day type of series with the Cozy Womb podcast, where she interviewed over 20-something fathers throughout like a whole month, in honor of Black Father's Day and
Yes.
hashtag Black Fathers Matter. So check out that series, man. We out here doing it, and again, podcasting gives us that platform where we have our own voice. We don't have to have anybody speak for us. You know, if you want to know what's really going on, maybe, you know, tune into some of these podcasts where, you know, there's a lot of Black fathers out here speaking their minds, and you'll see that they are active. And we talk about the obstacles that we go through and all types of stuff. So, and all the joys of being a father. So we out here. We out here.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, for me, as a father, man, it's everything. It's everything that, you know, as a 18-year-old to 19-year-old, you know, I knew I wanted to be. I just wanted to make sure that it was the right time, and make sure that, you know, I could take care of what is needed to be taken care of from a financial aspect. But, you know, when as you know, the four of you brothers, you know, you guys can understand, you know, when you have someone looking up to you, and when you have someone that, you know, idolizes you, you know, you have no choice but to go hard. So yeah, you know, it's a great feeling. I hold it high, and, you know, I put my head down, and I work hard every day to, you know, to strive to be the best father I can be. You know, and I take it serious. And, you know, I do my best to love. And like I always say, man, you know, no one gives you a textbook for it. But, you know, if you continue to sit there and continue to love and continue to, you know, show your kids, you know, right from wrong, and do your best to make sure that, you know, they're the model citizens, and for them to know their history, man, you know, and just be there for them. You know, I think that's all you can do, or you can always do more. I'm not gonna say that's all you can do, but you could always do more. But it's a gracious feeling, man, and I hold it high. I hold it high with me. So
Most definitely. Let me just get into it right now. Most of the issues that are happening today, we've got the whole issue around policing. We've got coronavirus. We have the situation, what has happened to George Floyd. Does anybody want to touch on any of these social issues? Because those are the issues that seem to be in a lot of folks' minds right now. What are any of your brother's thoughts on here?
Look, it's a lot going on in the world right now. As far as, you know, the George Floyd situation, and just dealing with police brutality. I mean, the thought that comes to my mind all the time is, yo, just think of how things were before we had social media. I mean, this stuff ain't new. You know, with camera phones and all that stuff, we're able to, you know, post these videos, and folks are still being able to get away with murder. But I mean, can you just imagine? I mean, we as Black folks, we can imagine, but like this stuff was way worse without the camera phones. You know, I don't know. It's a lot to deal with. There's a lot of times I got to take a break from social media. Just go for it's just too much. It's too much for too long. Mm-hmm. As far as the coronavirus, like that's I don't know, man. That's real interesting. Let me tell you, I go into my son's neighborhood out in Odenton, and in that area, people are, it's like the coronavirus don't even exist. They got little league games going on, practices, you know, the local associations or whatever said they weren't going to do it, but the parents are getting together and getting their kids to play sports anyway. So, you know, there's some folks out here are taking it seriously. You know, they got their masks on and, you know, doing whatever they can. And some folks aren't. Now, you know, I'm not one of those folks that have my mask on like 24/7. You know, if I go for a walk or something, you know, I'll go without my mask. But if I'm going somewhere where I know there's going to be people,
yes,
I'm gonna put my damn mask on. I mean, if it's a hoax, it's a hoax. But, you know, there's some precautions you got to take. You know, I mean, there's folks dying from this shit. So, yeah.
Okay. What would you say, and any of you brothers can touch on this, there are people out there who have been getting into the conspiracy theory of it and saying that, well, is it man-made? Is this the way for the government to somehow control us? Then there's people that are saying, well, now they're making Black people the face of coronavirus. And if you know the history, every time we've had diseases like AIDS and things of that nature, one way or another, they make Black people the face of these things at some point in time. And there's some people questioning, are Black people dying of coronavirus, or is it just that Black people are dying of conditions that they already had And it's easy for the doctors in the medical establishment to make an economic incentive if you tag that individual as, okay, they died of coronavirus. Now, those are just some of the things out there that people have floated out there. You know, is it real? Is it not? Is it fake? Is it just conspiracy? But I know personally, because I know people who have this virus, that it is real as far as what I have seen. And I work in the medical field, and where I work at, there are people who have the condition. So we're going through a hell of a lot at where I work at right now. What are your thoughts about that? Fact? Is it fiction or is it real?
Man, I think this is real, man. Real is real deal Holyfield. It's serious. It's not a game. Just like you said, you work in the medical field and you see it. And honestly, man, to be honest, Alex was actually the first one on the show to actually present it and actually to bring it out to the table when it came to the actual coronavirus. And we listened. He's like, you laughed at us, but at the same time,
they mocked me.
Yeah, he brought it to the table though. But it's the real deal and it's serious. And it's not to be joked with. It's not to be played with. I don't think that it's anything to where it's fake or it's a conspiracy. I've been doing some research on pandemics, and it seems like throughout history we've faced pandemics from different viruses, and I think this is real.
You know what, man? Like, whether it's man-made or God-made, people are dying, right? Like,
yes.
So people who want to rely on conspiracy theories, and y'all are just stupid. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, it's here, right? Like, my wife lost one of her grandmothers to it last month, so it's real. And for Black people who are, traditionally, exposed to all kinds of diseases and health issues, Black people already have this, we're predisposed to a lot of stuff. So now you throw on top of it the coronavirus, and it's just like, I don't believe doctors are tagging Black folks in it and just lumping them into dying from the coronavirus. Like, if you've seen it happen to someone, and to me, you shouldn't even need to see someone sick with it to take this seriously. Like, this is not the first pandemic in history. Like, so I don't know why people think that it's all of a sudden new or it's population control. They said it was population control about AIDS also, right? And
true.
I mean,
that's true.
No one was forcing you to go raw, but people were still going raw, right? Like,
that's right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So if it's population control, you still can control what you do. Like Brandon said, throw a mask on. At the very least, throw a mask on. That's all you're being asked to do. And people are acting like they're giving up their freedoms, and that's just ridiculous.
Okay, then let me ask you this. What is your opinion about people? Look, I personally think that the country, what we're having these spike ups because I believe that they opened the country up too soon. They did not listen to the scientists. We've got a man in the White House who I hate to say his name, in
the White House. I'm not going to say his name.
We got a man in the White House who does not want to listen to scientists. He doesn't want to listen to anybody. It looks like they're putting politics into this situation at the expense of people. The dollar is recoverable and people are expendable. But what is your thoughts about them trying to say, let's put the kids back in school? I have a child. You got kids on here. Putting kids in school, or let's just let everybody go back out there. What is your thoughts?
President can say whatever he wants, man. Like, that doesn't mean that you specifically shouldn't listen to science and medication or the CDC. Like, people still have control over their own actions. So when state governments or the federal government opens up beaches, no one's making you go to the beach. You know what I'm saying? So if you put yourself out there and then you get sick, you can't then come crying that the government didn't make you do otherwise. Like, all the information is out there. So that's a personal choice. If schools open back up and you send your child to school and your child gets sick, you made that decision to send your kid back to school when all the medical professionals are saying we're not ready for those things. Right. So, I mean, you have to make a decision what's best for you.
Yeah, and I think, it's everything. It's all political. So I work for the school system, the local school system where I live, and it's a huge deal right now. Right now, it's all this discussion on what the opening plans are going to be and how they want to do it and how they want to roll it out. And, to see the people who are listening to what this guy is saying, when it's clearly political and it's clearly about money. He wants our kids back in the school so that it's the trickle down effect, right? So, okay, let's use the schools as a daycare, so these people can get back to work, so the economy can get, can be thriving again. And you got people that's really buying into that shit, and it's crazy to me. But I have a kid. I got a 1-year-old that has a pre-existing condition, and he's not going nowhere. And like Alex said, no one's going to tell me that I'm going to send my son to a daycare, or if he was school age, that he's going to be going to school if I'm not feeling comfortable with what's going on. But I just think, it's just as simple as our people, like Alex said again, paying attention, doing your own research, and peep what's really going on behind the scenes. If I could say a story real quick, of course. So I think the thing is, I think it's real because I've had family members that have had it, and I do think we talk about it all the time that the numbers aren't showing the real truth, even though the numbers are way out there. It's a huge number, and that amount of people that passed away in this short amount of time, people should be paying attention to that. But we do know that, let's say, I contracted, right? And then my wife, obviously, she might start showing symptoms, and then my kids might start showing symptoms, or they may not. The way it's going is they might test me, and I'm positive, right? They're just going to assume that my wife and my children are positive as well because they've been around me. So they aren't testing them. And those people that aren't being tested aren't showing in the numbers because they don't count those. They only count the people that's been tested in the numbers. So people got to pay attention to that as well. That number could possibly be doubled or tripled that we're seeing of positive cases. You know what I mean? So just smarten up and pay attention to what's going on. That's the advice that we give people on our platform.
Okay. Brother Brandon, you have any thoughts, brother?
Yeah, I mean, hey, this country is being led by a guy who, has a track record of kind of implying that or implementing that survival of the fittest type type tactics, throughout his whole career or whatever you want to say. He's proven that he's been a ruthless guy, and I think he's handling the COVID situation in a very similar manner. Survival of the fittest. Open up the economy, get that green flowing again, because that's the only color he really cares about. And whoever dies. I think that's kind of how he's carrying it. So I don't know. It's a lot going on, man. It's a lot going on.
Right. One of the problems with our country, and I want to get your thoughts on this, brothers, not to over-labor the point, but one of the problems with our country is that we don't have a true public health system. We have a for-profit system. And I think that part of the reasons why we're struggling with this coronavirus is because of that there's politics over science, over facts, over letting the real healthcare professionals do their damn job. We got politicians worrying about their elections. They're worrying about the economic expedience of this society while people's dying. There's been some old sayings out there that if you take care of people's health and take care of people in fighting this coronavirus situation, the economy will get back to where it should be because you'll have a healthy society in which people can actually go to work. Kids can actually go to school. And this is another thing that's a shame about the United States. I don't know if you brothers are on top of this, that in Canada, they're giving their citizens $2,000 to $3,000 a month, and they're suspending all rent and all bills. We live in America where they gave us a measly $1,200, a measly $2,400 if you're coupled up. But yet the banks, and you can read this in PBS News Hour, the banks were getting $1 trillion a day. Do you hear me? $1 trillion a day. And they tell me and you that they can't give black folks reparations. That shit just makes me laugh. Okay?
Greedy pigs, man. Greedy pigs that fester. And that's all it is. and they talk about letting it trickle down from the top and letting it kind of hit. That's never been the motto for them. That's never been the method for them. For them is to take everything, and earlier to what Brandon said, treating everything like the Russian in Rocky IV. If he dies, he dies. You know,
Right.
pretty much. And it's sickening. It's sickening. Like I said, they fester like pigs, man, and something needs to be done.
Okay. Now let me pick y'all brains about this particular issue right here, brothers. Let me bring this up. Okay, we're all seeing that they're taking down they're taking down Confederate monuments. We've got Black Lives. This is going to be controversial. So they're taking down Confederate monuments, while you've got Black Lives Matter. That is, we know that they're being financed by big business. You got George Soros that's financing them. You go to their website, you see very little being spoken about black men, which the organization itself has built themselves off of the death of black men being killed by cops. And then you got the actual people on the streets who are saying, you know what, we're against what police have been doing. So you got the actual people and you got the organization, and then you got the whole Confederate monument. This is my concern, gentlemen, that we do not get ourselves too caught up in symbolism. It looks all great that they got Black Lives Matter written in the streets, but what does any of that mean if you don't have policy changes? So you can take the Confederate flag down, you can take the monuments down, and I believe that they should be down. But does it mean anything if you don't change public policy to go along with all this symbolism, right? And then with that said, to me personally, it's a damn shame that black men have to die as the sacrificial lamb for people to get some get right in this country and start making these changes. It's a goddamn shame. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, F those monuments. F those monuments, man. Those were slave owners. Hey, those might be your heroes, but they ain't mine. You know what I'm saying? But like, I remember one time in New Orleans, I was in the French Quarter and they had a monument out there. I forgot which one it was, and he was a former slave owner. And you know, I give the monument the finger, and I'm guessing a lady who was standing by. I don't know if she was conservative or whatever. This was years ago, but you know, she yells at me. She's like, "Hey, he's on the money that you spend." And I'm like, "Oh, F that damn monument. He had slaves." Like, yo. But I don't know. I'm hoping that, you know, these Black Lives Matter that we're painting all over the streets and everything like that, even though that's not coming with any policies right now, hopefully that's the first step. That's the first step of kind of like a paradigm shift or a mindset shift into, you know, people now getting into, you know, bringing awareness to a lot of folks who, I don't know why they didn't, you know about this before. But, you know, hopefully it's just that first step to get in the mindset of people who didn't know about this or who didn't care about it before, to now push and help us push for policies that will, in fact, change, you know, all the things that are going on with Black people, because that's what we're going to need. You're right. These, you know, these signs or whatever, these monuments, whatever we could put up, they won't mean anything without policy change. So hopefully, I'm being optimistic. It's just the first step.
Like, I give you a perfect example, gentlemen. You've got, let's see, Mississippi. Mississippi, I think, is about 40%, the population is 40% Black people, African Americans, right? But yet they only have one Black person who's in a leadership position in the community, which is a damn shame. So if they take the Confederate flag down, it needs to be down. But if nothing changes in the public policy, as I said before, they're going to it'll be just as if the Confederate flag is flying high, very high. So that's a concern, because we're getting caught up. And this is not popular what I'm saying. We're getting caught up looking at, not you brothers, but in general, we're getting caught up looking at the Black Lives Matter movement, where you've got the whole LGBTQT coming into that movement. Other people seem to have an agenda. Now, I talked to, there's an older brother that I talked to by the name of, he goes by the name of Ghost. OGJ Speed, if you out there, peace to you, brother. And he said that historically, every time black people have had movements and other people have come aboard, they get what they want out of that movement. They take the bag and they run away, and we get left with an empty bag. I'm telling you right now, this is controversial. What are your thoughts as it relates to the fact that when you go to Black Lives Matters website, there is very little spoken about the black family and black men. And when you look at the, I wish I had this. Let me see if I've got the thumbnail to throw up on the screen. Damn it, I don't have the thumbnail. When you look at the Rolling Stones magazine cover, where you have the black woman and her son behind her, there was no black man. Guess what? The only black man in that picture was a dead black man, because that was George Floyd, whose face was on the shirt of that illustration. And the only black man was a dead black man. What is your thoughts about that? Because there's the organization, and then there's people out there that are really about the Black Lives Matter. Go ahead.
Well, I think your guy has some truth to what he's saying. It feels as if whenever it comes to collectively black people standing up for something, it seems as if everybody kind of tries to hop on. And then when it comes to a point to where measures have been taken care of, or when something else serious comes about, nothing is to be said, you know? So that does hold some truth. It kind of, just like with music, it kind of feels like with music when you, I don't know if you saw Cadillac Records, but
oh yeah, definitely.
That was a prime example. You know, Muddy Waters, you know, he pretty much was the talent. He was the star. He had everything. As soon as that Jewish man hopped onto him, you know, now at the same time, you know, he wasn't demanding what was his, but, you know, that was back in the day. He didn't really understand it. So I say that it does seem that way. It does. So, but it also, I think we also need to focus on the task at hand. And like you said, that's policy change. If the root, if the root is crooked, if the root is wicked, you know what I mean? If it's not pulled and if it's not thrown away, then I mean, yeah, that's great. That's great that we have the start of it. But you know, it must lead to more. It must lead to more.
Right. Let me go ahead and shout out a few people in the chat room. We got some folks that's been listening, that's agreeing with some of the things that they're hearing. We got Dallas Slade in the house. We've got Wallace in the house. Tiffany Jackson, peace to you, sister. We got T Black in the house, and we got Panda Hairs in the house. Good to see you. We got Try It, Buy It, and Make It and Sell It in the house. Good to see you here. Let's see. Who else did we got here? We got the Whack One is in the house, and many more folks that have come in the house. Mama is in the house. Let me just say peace to everybody in the chat room. We got Beverly in the chat room. Go make sure, and we got MJ Givens in the chat room. MJ Givens. Everybody that's in the chat room, make sure that you share the video in the social media. I appreciate everybody that's in the chat room for being here today. And as I was saying earlier, I want to give an apology for having this show on the other channel, and I brought people back over to this side. So appreciate you coming over to this side. The Jada Pickett show, we're going to do that later on tonight with Brother BMT and Sister Real Dana. But once again, I've got the brothers here, fantastic brothers, Off the Record podcast, and we're getting into a few controversial issues, or issues that can be polarizing. Let me see, brothers, let me just say this here. Yes, public policy must be changed. But what I'm concerned about is all the people that you see out there protesting right now, as what's going on today, of different races, and it looks good. It looks good visually for us. It makes us feel good, like, hey, change is happening in this society. This is the question I'm going to throw on the table. How many of these people that you see out there that are not black How many of them are willing to turn around and accept the fact that black people, we have a debt that America owes us, and that's reparations? Huh? How many? Huh?
Yeah, that's the question. Who's going to turn around and who's going to make those particular changes? You know what I'm saying? Those people in position of power that know the shit is wrong, that know that, you know what I'm saying, the trickery and the mastery of what's been going on from generations to generations, and they know that it's wrong. Those are the people. What are they going to do? Now, that's a big question.
I mean, reparations is a good start. It's a good start, but we need more than reparations. I mean, we're talking about generations of policies that were put into place to prohibit black people from obtaining wealth and economic independence. We still obtained economic independence, and then they come in and they destroy that. So I mean, you're talking about generation after generation after generation. So if we're just going to give people money and land and they don't know what the hell to do with it, I mean, I don't think reparations alone is going to fix everything. I mean, all the things that we talk about, in social media, on these podcasts and stuff, all of those things that we talk about, they all have to be incorporated into. It has to be all comprehensive in order for us, to get back on track. But I tell you this.
Okay.
I tell you this, even without reparations, black people, we have a lot of spending power. To me, it's more about a shift in mindset, assets over liabilities, networking between black businesses. We can do that without reparations now. But reparations wouldn't hurt.
Well, let me just say, let me give you a small pushback though, brother. See, this is the thing. We do have a lot to work on. Black folks do have a lot of spending power. But this is the thing. You don't hear other groups. You didn't hear the Native Americans say, we don't need you to keep that money. You didn't hear Jewish people saying, well, we don't really need that money, even though we got some economics over here. And you didn't hear the Japanese say, you know what, we'll leave that money on the table. God damn it, I say that black people, we take every goddamn thing we can get our hands on, and then some, and then work on what you just said. Education. Look, let's keep it real. We got black people out here who are excellent in business. Why couldn't we have these kind of brothers and sisters teach us proper management of our money? We had Black Wall Street at one point in time when black folks were catching hell in this country racially. So you're right. We have to learn we have to understand. We need a political education. We need an economic education to be able to manage our money. But at the same time, I don't want to leave anything on the table that is due us, because some of us, you brothers are from Baltimore. I have a great-great-grandfather who had his business stolen from him. You know what they did to black men and black women, redlining, right? Should I say more? Stealing of land. You had black people that were inventors who got their patents stolen. Let's talk about the light bulb. A black man is the one that really invented that and got the damn patent stolen. Okay? Telephone. A lot of things that we think were invented by quote unquote white people, they actually stole those patents from black people. So there's so many things, sharecropping, the Jim Crow that was happening. You can just go into that era without even talking about slavery and triangular slave trade when it comes to the debt that black people are owed in this country. Now, I did a podcast before where do you know that America spends more money on military and some money in foreign aid than what it would take to give black people $125,000 between 50 and 100 years annual payment? It doesn't even hit the budget that they spend in military expenditures and other expenditures. Other groups are getting money, but when black people are saying, hey, this is owed us, now everybody is saying, oh, come on now. Don't be asking. Don't be begging. And you know what? If you give black people money, they ain't going to know what to do with it.
They paid Europe for the Holocaust. When they went and they bombed and they destroyed shit over there, they got millions. America paid millions, So did you see any Europeans talking about, nah, keep y'all money.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's no question. There's no question whatsoever. Should it be should it be given or should it be demanded or whatever? I mean, there's no question about it. I mean, you can't put, you know, a certain amount of people and oppress a certain amount of people with genocide and racism and not feel as if or not know for a fact that was due and was right. There's no question about it.
And let me just be clear. My argument is not against reparations at all.
Oh no, I don't mean it. I don't want to come off like that.
Yeah. Hey, like I said, reparations would be nice, but in the meantime, I mean, as a people, we just need to continually to be mentally tough and smart about what we do from here on out. So whether they give us reparations or not, we good. We gonna do it, but we'll take it.
I think it needs to be a part of the entire movement. Like, well, we got these folks out here with us, white folks, Asians, whoever that's out there on the front lines with us protesting. Let it be known that this is a part of the entire movement, not just to get, you know, to fight police brutality, but we fighting this entire system that has been against us since known to men. So I think that, you know, one of the things that I've heard, you know, you see some black folks that feel like it's not up to them to inform these people or educate these people on what actually has happened, people that don't look like us. And I disagree with that to a certain extent. It is up to us. You know, let them know what we really fighting for. And if you're going to be here, that you fighting for this too. But if you're not, don't just be here to fight for, don't be here to fight in this moment. Like, we fighting the long fight. And I think, you know, to go back to the Black Lives Matter thing, I'm just some questions about the organization as a whole, but I think the movement and what it stands for, if we do it the right way and look at it and channel it the right way, I think it's a good thing, right? But I think people need to look deeper and deeper than just the big name, right? So the Black BLM is the big corporation or whatever that everybody's going behind. But if you look locally into your cities and your towns, there's some movements, so small movements that's going on that could use that money. You know what I mean? So, you know, look deeper, man. Do your research, everything that's going on around, but you gotta take care of your home first and your city first, and then branch out. But look into those folks, you know, that's got the small movements going on around you, but don't have the funds or don't have the support to do that.
Well, let me get your thoughts about this is Real Dana who super chatted me. Let me give her
Thank you for the super chat.
thank you for the super chat. This is the sister that's going to be on with me later on tonight doing the show about Jada Pickett and that whole situation. But she says here, and thank you for the super chat again, Real Dana. She says here, reparations should not just be nice; it should be a demand, and we need to demand reparations and not agreeable gestures. And I kind of agree with her. She has a powerful YouTube channel, large following, very dynamic sister. Sometimes you can catch her on the Star's show on the YouTube. Very dynamic sister. But I always was taught that power conceives nothing without a demand. But this is the thing, brothers. You all live in Baltimore. Let's be honest, too. We do have some of our people. I got to be honest, got to be an honest broker here. We do have some of our people across this country, not just Baltimore, Philadelphia, D.C., California. We do have some of our people that are engaging in a ratchet life.
Yeah, I know where you're going with this, bro.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead, brothers. Take it off.
And let me tell you, in my time here in Baltimore, I drive around because I just look at houses and stuff, looking for investment opportunities. And in some parts of Baltimore, South Baltimore, it ain't just black folks. You drive through those neighborhoods, like maybe the first time you drive through South Baltimore, it might be for me. The first time I drive through South Baltimore, it was almost like it's like there's poor white folks out here. Okay, you know they out here, but like to just drive through and get out and walk through the neighborhood or whatever, like it's not just black folks engaging in ratchet behavior. I mean, I think it's more in tune with that type of behavior is more in tune with a poverty mindset. So whether you're black, white, Asian, whatever, wherever they have poverty-stricken areas, you'll probably see the same ass issues, the same behaviors. So it's just
the truth.
When black folks do it, it's a huge light. You know, we are in the spotlight. Okay,
right.
We went through hundreds of years of slavery, civil rights, Jim Crow, all of that. You know, our black grandfathers, they didn't get the home benefits. There were policies put in place where they said, hey, don't sell homes or don't give equity and wealth to black folks when they come back from fighting the war. And then all of that stuff is cultivated. And then you be like, oh, well, why black people do this? Why black people? No, well, one, that was the reason, but it happens in every culture. So I don't want that stigma for black folks either. Take a ride down. So if you in Baltimore, you ain't been through South Baltimore, go ahead and take a ride out there.
Let me say something to you. I'm glad that you said that. And I'm not saying that all black people, but we do have those in our community that have done some things out there that's not in the best interest of our people. But maybe you can refresh my memory where this is located at in Baltimore. I was with my uncle one day in Baltimore, and we were driving through an area. It was mostly all white ap and my uncle said, roll up that damn windows quickly. And I'm a young, I'm about maybe 16, 15. And I'm looking out the window and I'm saying, these white folks look real ratchet. And he said, you don't want to be caught in this neighborhood as a black person in this area. These white folks over here are living medieval. And I was like blown away. And so when I came back to California, I kept trying to tell people, you got white folks in the eastern part of the country that's living in some ghettos as well, that we don't see in the West Coast that much,
I mean, bad areas isn't exclusive to black people. You know what I'm saying? So whether it's in Baltimore, whether it's in the South, there are white folks that people don't see that live quote unquote ratchet just like anybody else. And I think when you're talking about improving a group of people or a culture or a race, look, the truth is we're not going to improve everybody. There are always going to be people who go against the grain. There are always going to be people who make it harder for us to progress to the right place in this world or in this country. And so I don't think anybody should be wasting time trying to pull everybody along. The truth is there's just always going to be people that are not for the betterment of black people. And sometimes that's our very own. Right.
Yeah. Right. And I think the huge, we talking about that. We talking about Baltimore in itself. I mean, we kind of talked about it off the air, man. Like leadership in this town it has not been great. For the people that's not from here, if you just do a Google search on our last couple of mayors, the Google search isn't going to be clean. There's going to be something coming up, or some controversy they've been in, some stealing money, some doing this. I mean, look, our former mayor just got booked in Alabama.
Wow.
She just checked in to serve her 3 or 4 year sentence. Right? So, I mean, the mayors before that, we had a couple that was okay, but before that, I
remember, if my memory is right, brother, I remember, what was the brother's name? Smoke or something like that?
Mayor Smoke, yeah.
Kirk Smoke. That's way back in the 80s. Shit.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, man.
And to be real with you, man, I can't remember the last time we had a real solid mayor. He might have been the last one. I mean, you know what I mean? Like Sheila Dixon was cool, but then she found herself into some issues. So we have an issue from the top in this city.
Okay, then let me throw this on the Vernon Scott. Wow, let me throw this on the table. When you look at when I lived in San Francisco, they have one of the biggest Chinatowns in the country. When you look at Asians, for example, they have their own community, they have their own language, they even have their own schools for their kids on the weekend. And when you go into their communities, oftentimes you only see them employing each other. You only see them, they have a lot of cooperative economics amongst themselves. I'm not saying that they don't have ratchetness and they don't have problems, because they do, because, you know, I had a lot of friends growing up in the Bay Area who were also Asian, so I got a chance to see some of their ratchetness too. But what I noticed is that because they have a little bit more economic stability, or it appears that way, or businesses, politicians tend to run after them. They don't tend to be in a mindset of we got to run after politicians. Whereas black people, for some reason, I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm generalizing. Maybe I'm being too general. I'm generalizing here, of course. It seems like we have been culturally conditioned to, okay, vote. If the person's black, you vote for him, because if you get a black man or a black woman in there, everything's going to be fine. But my question is, if you don't have that economic power, power does not respect. Power only respects power. And I think part of the problem with black folks is that politicians already know that, especially if you're Democratic, that we're going to run and vote for them. They got the black vote all locked up. They take us for granted. And they don't really, we tend to have black folks in leadership having us chase after these politicians, whether it be a great white hope or a great black hope, to somehow change something for us. We've had black mayors, we've had a black president, we've had all these things, yet we find ourselves, some of us find ourselves still in these same conditions. So what is going on here, brothers?
I feel as though I think that some of it. Oh, go ahead, Alex. I'm sorry.
We all wanted to go.
We all want to jump on that. I'm sorry.
I'll be quick, man. Look, the black vote matters, because if it didn't, they wouldn't be working 24 hours to suppress it, right? Like, even though black people might not have the economic base that some of the other cultures do, the black vote is extremely important. And so part of the issue is that we tend to only focus on the national elections, whoever's running for federal offices, which obviously that plays a huge role in policy, but policies often changed and shifted at the local level. And so it's incumbent upon us to get out there and make sure we're trying to vote the best candidate in at a local level, and then again at the federal level. But I don't think black folks are running after politicians at all. On the contrary, I think Democrats and Republicans are actually running after black folks. The issue is that, you know, there's a game to politics, and our vote gets suppressed. Obviously, if you go to certain federal crimes, you get your voting rights stripped away. Trump only won 48% of the popular vote, but because of the Electoral College, he got in office. There's a lot of things going on. And when you look at the other cultures, none of them have had to overcome, or are still trying to overcome, what black people or African Americans have had to overcome in America. Nobody.
Right.
And so we are in a difficult position.
And on top of that, every other nationality has some type of continent backing them economically from a standpoint to where they can rely on. Black people, we don't have that, you know, and this is why it's important to actually, like you said, to rely and stand on the vote, because other nationalities, they have some type of continent and some type of economic basis to stand on, you know what I mean, to where it's not American. And if you know about America, they have their hand in every other continent or every other country in this world. So
exactly.
It's a larger scale from when it comes to the economic basis, because every continent that they steal from or they pillage from, you know, they also have some type of the particular nationality has some type of backing or some type of basis from a continental standpoint.
That's right. Let me say shout out to Sincere A. Lucy, Brother Earl Owens is coming in the house, T Black, back to the basics. Everybody, this is a very good discussion here. So I'm trying to pay attention to what these brothers are saying. By no means, gentlemen, black people have not been given an advantage. Some people would want to think that we've been given an advantage because of this whole thing we call affirmative action. Other groups have come over here and they've been given some advantages. When I lived in the Bay Area, particularly San Francisco, I noticed that sometimes some of these other immigrants that come over, they're given government subsidies. They're given programs to help them get on their feet, sometimes even in business. So you're right. I think I guess what I should have said is that we have, this is going to step on some toes. I almost want to say this. Well, I do want to say this. Has the phenomena of the preacher, has the preacher been a detriment for black people, or have the preacher been good for us? Because a lot of times it's the preacher who gets swayed by the politician who comes to the congregation and say, this is what we're going to do. When you have, you just had all those black preachers, what it was 100 black preachers that all rallied around Donald Trump, rallied around him, put their hands on him to anoint him as the one. Do we have false leadership within our local communities that are leading us down the wrong road, such as your traditional preacher and your traditional black politicians, your aldermans and such like that we've come to get to know growing up? What are your thoughts?
No, I don't know any particulars, but the way it appears, I mean, that's, of course, I mean, I would assume that there's some foolishness going on there. I mean, because preachers, they have a lot of influence on, black communities. I mean, part of our culture in America, is, the religious part about it, going to church, having a religious leader. And almost, I mean, all cultures really do this, but, especially black folks, in the Baptist church where I grew up Baptist, we look to our preachers and our pastors for leadership. So, I mean, anytime there's like money involved, and there's definitely money involved somewhere, I don't have any hard evidence or anything, but you can tell, if your preacher is driving around in a luxury vehicle and the majority of the congregation is, living in, borderline or are living in poverty, there's some shadiness going on there. So I think anytime money is involved, which I think in a lot of cases it probably is, you're gonna see that. You're gonna see preachers try to, or community leaders, politicians, whoever it is that has influence over the black vote. Once money get involved, they gonna swing their voters this way. They're gonna swing their voters that way. So it's not just outside influences. It's inside influences too that we need to address.
Okay. Let me just say this. Earlier, I think it was JT, someone super chatted me. So let me just give you some love there.
Thank you for the super
Thank you for that super chat. We've got Dallas Slade. We got 3D Burns in the house. We've got Tiffany Jackson. There was somebody else that I want. Oh, we got Amy who's coming to the house. Everybody check out her channel. She does sports. Very dynamic young lady there, Amy, who's come into the house. Oh, it was JT Coins Range that gave me the super chat right here. Thank you, JT, for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Let me get into some other areas. Let me ask you brothers this, because you have a podcast that's very dynamic. What is the biggest subject matter that you all tend to focus on your channel? I know there's a variety of issues, but what is the one sticking point as a group that you always seem to come right back to when you get into your discussions on your podcast?
Man,
That's a good question.
I would probably say, just like relationships between the black man and woman. I mean, that is a big topic, a popular topic amongst black audiences. I mean, wherever you look, whether it's social media groups, podcasts, whatever, most of them, I from my experience, at some point we're gonna start talking about relationships between the man and the woman, or whatever other relationships, LGBT, whatever. But I would say relationships, and probably things that, issues that black men particularly face. That's where I think most of our content is.
Yeah,
I'm glad that you said that, because that's an area that I wanted to pick your brains about. I've done some shows on this in the past. Do you think the relationship between black men and black women is a situation where it can't be repaired? Because let me just say this. There are some on YouTube that say that our women are taking on too much what I would call masculine qualities versus feminine qualities. And we have some men that are taking on feminine qualities, that we're out of balance, we're out of whack. We have allowed ourselves to allow petty issues to distract us from what we really need, and that is a harmony, to a balance, to work together to be able to get through some of the ups and downs that we face in this society, that we have to have a unity together versus being split. But there are some brothers on YouTube that will say, you know what, as a black man, it ain't worth getting married. It's a loss for you to get married as a black man. Worry about yourself. Work on your paper. Work on traveling. Work on your business. Get yourself, build yourself up. Don't put women on a pedestal. And we already saw what Jada Pinkett has done with as it relates to Will Smith, where she's now having him on the red table and sort of saying, well, this is something that I needed, but this is your husband, woman. What are your thoughts?
I thought that shit was fucked up, honestly. Like I just
Deep question.
Yeah, man. I mean, just that situation alone, I mean, I understand communication, but damn, like, I mean, just to have him sit there and like stewing in all of her escapades, I'm like, yo,
I say that. Oh, go ahead, Quan. I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead. I mean, the communication aspect of it, I see where they're going with it. I think communication, dialogue, I think black men and black women, I think we both want the same thing, and we want the same thing for each other, but I think at times we're speaking total different languages. Part of that may be because of how we've been grown up. Part of it may be how they've grown up. I mean, it's not easy to actually bring a world together. So, but
True.
you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's a must. It has to be, you know? I mean, look, other nationalities, they're sticking with their women. I mean, I don't know, bro. I mean, look, other nationalities, they're sticking with their women. And look, I get it. I get the fact of what's going on. Look, me personally, I'm sticking with a black woman. I mean...
Tell the truth.
I would say, yeah, the relationship between the black man and the black woman, there's some repair that's needed there based on what I've seen, like just in, you know, dating or, you know, on social media and stuff like that, the back and forth. To be honest with you, and this might be because I kind of sometimes I limit myself to social media. I don't see as much bickering back and forth between black men and women nowadays. I mean, it still goes on. But again, that is another area that systemic oppression, it has affected that part of black people's lives as well, the relationships that we deal with. I mean, when you're talking about generational unemployment, that is, you know, pretty much weakening, you know, the black man's ability to provide and you know, for the family structure. I mean, we're talking about generations of that. You know, people coming up through, you know, they grew up without a father in the household, or may have grown up, you know, without both parents in some cases. And so when you have centuries and generations of shit, I mean, that part of our lives is going to be affected as well. So, you know, as it is now today, I just think I think black men and black women both had a lot of frustration, you know, dealing with each other, that, you know, we vent a lot on social media. You can go to any social chat group that's got black folks in it, black men and women, and just see them go at it about issues like child support. You know, whether, you know, if you have a daughter, whether she should be walking around the house with, you know, going to the bathroom in her underwear, you know, all types of issues that black men and women just like fuss about. Like, so there's definitely some repair there that's needed, but I don't see as much of it now as I used to.
Well, let me say this, and let me thank Earl Owens for the super chat.
Thank you for the super chat.
And we have Sister B who super chatted me as well.
Thank you for the super
I want to thank
chat.
everybody in the chat room that's come in, that's listening. You're listening to Off the Record podcast. These brothers are dynamic. I'm so glad to have them with me. Got to bring them back. We had a few boo-boos. It was my fault primarily in the beginning, but as a result, I'm going to have to bring these brothers back again because I'm actually personally enjoying everything that I'm hearing these brothers say. Let me say this to you brothers too. This is my theory on this. I think one of the reasons why, and we can't sleep on this, and it's pretty obvious in some cases may not be for some people. In some areas of the frustration that black women and black men take out on each other, I think it's all a manifestation of the stress that we go through as black men and black women go through to make it in this society. So for example, black women don't really know, unless they're working with us, what we have to do on the job. I work in the medical field. What I notice when I'm on the job, if I speak with authority, knowing what the hell I'm talking about, black men in general tend to be seen as a threat when we have a deep voice, when we have that James Earl Jones voice, right? The white man can speak with that kind of voice and he's seen as, oh, a charismatic guy who's passionate. Black man speaks like that, you're the angry black man. So a lot of times our women don't see the bullshit that we put up with just to bring the eggs and bacon home. Then in turn, sometimes we as black men don't see what that black woman has to go through when she's not only dealing with the black man, but also dealing with the white woman, for example, on these jobs. And then we both come home and we snap on each other, or we snap on each other in relationships because we're both dealing with serious stress in the outer society. And then what we do, what most people do, because I work in psychology, is that we project it and take it out on each other, and it begins to destroy the black family. And then when black men and black women break up, you know what we just did? We hurt ourselves economically, because now the black man is now, his economics has changed, your economics have changed, and all of a sudden that black man is being called a deadbeat father, but he wasn't a deadbeat when he was with the woman, because together economically we can do a lot together. When you look at the white man and the white woman, not that they don't have problems too, but they are on the same page with each other as a unit, while we in some cases are fractured due to all the stress. They don't deal with the cultural stress that we deal with. They simply go to work and deal with the basic work stress. What is your thought? I said a mouthful there.
Man, look, you took everything that I was about to say. I agree with you 100%. I think within the black relationship, we lost that understanding, and I think and we lost that trust for each other, so to speak. But I think the ultimate problem is that exactly what you said, man. I think we are all dealing with something, right? As black men, we feel like as soon as we walk out the house, the world is against us, right?
Right.
Black women are starting to feel that same thing, right? They go to the job, they realize they see somebody that doesn't look like them or a man get a position that they qualify for, and they making a lot less than that man or whoever the case may be, and they doing the exact same work. So they, like you said, they coming home with the same stresses, and we all want, when we walk in the home, we want that to be our comfort zone, right? So we expect our mate to rub our back when we're going through something. The problem is both of us are going through something, so we both don't feel like we're heard. And I think that creates that friction and that beef between the black man and the black woman. I think the sooner we start to sit there and listen to our mates and understand that both of us are, as soon as we walk out the door, the things are stacked against us. So we both going through it. So we both got to sit there and start listening to each other. But I think that's where it started, man. I know as a black man myself, me and my fiance had the same conversation, and we went through these same things. And, you know, when we sat down and talked, it was like, you know, listen, I felt like she didn't understand what it was for me leaving this house as a black man. And she said she felt I didn't understand her leaving as a black woman. And once we sat there and understood and talked about it, like we realized, like, damn, we both going through some shit that's not even in this household. It's not us that's causing it, it's what's outside that's causing it. And we just haven't been listening to each other and comforting each other and realizing, like, yo, we got to be each other's crutch when we leave this home. So I agree with you 100%, man. I think you hit it on the head. I agree with that 1000%.
Okay. Definitely thank you for that, brother. This is another issue, and you hear brothers talk a lot about this within the Black Manosphere on YouTube. I know a lot of the brothers in the Manosphere. The issue of black young men being raised by single mothers, and they believe, some brothers believe that you have young black males that are being feminized because they're being raised by getting the energy of a mother, a feminine energy, and those young men grow up without a proper father or masculine energy in their life, which contributes to some of the dysfunctional behavior. And there are some that would say that. And then let me then bring up this other point too. And I know some of the ladies don't like to when we say this, but I got to say it for the purpose of the program. A lot of times you'll have single mothers who will take credit when the son gets a football scholarship or get a college scholarship that he's doing well. And the woman may say, that's my son. I've raised him all my life by myself. Without a man, I did it. I was the father. I was the mother, because the son is successful. Then when that son grows up and becomes a thug, a menace to society, a problem, then you'll have some black women who may say, oh, it's because the father wasn't in his life. He's a terrible son because the father was a no good father. So my son is no good. So my thing is, if a woman is raising a black son by herself, whatever the circumstances are, and she's saying she's a father and mother, shouldn't that woman take both the blame for when he does well and take some blame for when he does poorly, especially if the father's not around, or if that woman is saying, I don't need a man. I can do it all by myself? Because I know for a fact that there are brothers who want to be in the life of their child, and they've been forced out of being in their child's life because the woman may use the child as a pawn. They may be paying child support and they can't see their child or their daughter when they're trying to, and they're frustrated. What is your thoughts about that? I said a mouthful again.
Whew. That is that's a loaded topic right there. I don't know, man. It used to bother me in situations such as what you described, but I don't know. I guess personally, I just choose to focus my energy and pay attention to folks who don't do all that. I'm not the type to. I don't really care if she takes the blame or not. Me, it's focus on the folks who are celebrating those who are raising their children right. I mean, there's a lot of single mothers out here that are working hard, and they're not worried about taking the blame or taking the credit for this and that. I mean, for everybody, it always feels good, if somebody says, hey, you're doing a good job, whatever. But I don't know, man. I just choose to focus my energy on other folks and not really worry about, placing the blame. But for those who are doing shit like that, cut it out. But other than that.
Now, let me ask this question too. I don't want to get too deep into your personal business. How many of you who do have children, because I was married 15 years, I've been divorced for about 13 now. I have 50-50 custody of my child. So I don't have some of the entanglements that some brothers may have or some men may have, because it ain't just black men, when it comes to the whole child support situation, because my ex can't dictate certain things, and we had an amicable breakup. How many of you are still with the mother or your wife of your child if you were either married or it was a relationship that you had? Are you still with the woman or not? And if there's any ups and downs that you feel comfortable to talk about, challenges. Let's just say that challenges, if any.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm with my son's mom.
I'm not with my son's mother.
Neither am I.
Yeah, I'm not with my son's mother.
Okay.
And it was definitely a challenge in the beginning. It was probably the toughest thing that I've ever been through. I mean, at this point, I think we co-parent pretty well. We communicate well. We're pretty much on the same page. But yeah, when it first happened, it was rough. It was rocky. And we've talked about this on a couple of our shows. My advice stays the same. I mean, if you a brother or a sister going through it, try to settle it outside of court. Try to settle it outside of court.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going through the same thing. Like my beginning process of it, it was rocky. It wasn't good. Eventually, once my son got older, things started kind of getting a little bit better. Things began to shift, and now we co-parenting, and we have a proper relationship co-parenting. I'm in another relationship, and which is good and great, and so it's no issues when it comes to that. She does what she needs to do. I do what I need to do. For my son, and we make sure that we do the best job co-parenting. And I also have my lady, to make sure that she helps and she does a great job providing. So it's at first it was kind of hard, but it's day by day. Like I said, as he gets older, it's kind of shifting and coming around. So I'm just, like I said, keeping fingers crossed and just like I said, pushing every day.
Okay. Let me do this because we've got more people that's in the chat room, and there's probably going to be a lot more people that's watching this after the fact who don't have YouTube accounts that are actually watching. But let me go over to Brother Alex because he was speaking earlier when we were on the other channel. Unfortunately, apologize for that again, brothers. When you were talking about the media, some of the great things that you've got going on. Let's remind everybody where they can find your podcast and the media platform that you have getting yourself involved in right now. That's going to be on fire. Go right ahead, brother. I think you're muted. Let me unmute you. Unmute yourself, brother.
Yep, my bad.
It's okay. I've been making mistakes all day.
I appreciate that, man. I mean, you guys can always check me out. I'm on Twitter most of the time at Lakers Central CEO, and then the Lakers Central podcast. That's Lakers Central 365 on Twitter and Instagram, and you can start following Crossover 365, which is the media company that I'm working on with a lot of good folks involved. And then of course OTR. We don't have a proper OTR page anymore on Twitter. Mike basically serves as the face of OTR. But we are on Instagram, OTR _pod. Isn't that right, Mike?
OTR _podcast on Instagram, OTR _podcast on Facebook, YouTube. Search us out, man. Off the Record Podcast on YouTube. We would appreciate y'all to subscribe, man. We
definitely.
As far as Twitter, I think we all have our own Twitter, so we are pretty active. As far as the podcast Twitter, Brandon is OTR Brandon, Quan is OTR Quan, and I'm OTR _Mike on Twitter. So, man, check us out. Our podcast, our audio version, you can find on all major streaming platforms. We have a range we go from funny to sad to we touch on everything, man. So check us out.
Most definitely. And definitely, brothers, if you could, when you get I want to definitely connect with you brothers on all the other platforms. I think I'm connected with on one of you on the Twitter. Of course, I'm following you on Spotify, but I want to follow you on the other platforms. And this is what I want to do. I'm going to definitely shout your platform out. Would definitely, if there's any kind of way, because my podcast channel, I like to put advertisement on that. If there's any kind of way that you guys have like a promo or some audio promo that I can play on the second channel to promote what you're doing, or I'll just say it by, even if it's a paper ad, a written statement for me to say, I would definitely like to promote all the ventures that your brothers are getting involved in, because I personally believe that, once again, as I said to you brothers before, that we need more black men controlling the narrative, and it don't matter what it is, whether it's sports, whatever the topics, we need to be the ones controlling the narratives when we're talking about ourselves in our communities. So definitely, brothers, make sure you any information that you send me, I can put in the description of this video so that other people can connect into it. I definitely would appreciate that.
We have a promo. We'll get that over to you. But I want to say, man, we appreciate you for having us on your platform, man. I know you reached out. You one thing about you, you've been in contact with us for a while now, and we finally made it happen. So we appreciate you for having us on, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep killing the game. You know, we watching you from over here and on the East Coast. Now we found out that you're a Maryland native and Baltimore native. So that's even better. So when you on this side, man, we'll have to connect. But we appreciate you, man.
Yeah, when I get back out that way, I'm definitely gonna let you know when I'm in town and connect with you guys on the physical level of being able to see you, talk to you, and chop it up. But this is what we need to do, brothers. I have to get you back on here sooner than later, and the reason why is because this conversation that we had today, and I'm seeing brothers on this panel that are talking real talk, mature about it. I've got to get you back on here, especially when I have conversations about fatherhood. And it looks like we got black men on. I don't know what your occupations are, but we look like we got black men on here that have entrepreneurial spirit, energy, and we need to have more talk about that. You know, it's fun to talk about the relationship stuff and the goofy stuff too, but we need to, once again, promote what brothers are doing. So that's why I had to say, okay, you have a child. You may either be with the mother or not, but you're still in the child's life and you're doing something resonating with that child. And that's important because there's another narrative that is not so pretty that's being painted by other people and sometimes by our own people. If you dig what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Definitely.
You have to watch that too. And absolutely, man. This experience on the show has been awesome. What we've discussed and what we've dug into from all the different topics, man, it's been great. And I agree 1,000%. You know, it's great to talk about relationships, and it's great to talk about what we need to do as men and, you know, black men, and you know, as what, you know, we feel the women, you know, the standard or whatever. But it's also important that we also network and we get out our entrepreneurial goals and our visions and our dreams, and you know, we do what's necessary to make our culture great, because we have so much shining within us and outside of us that, you know, it must be heard and it must be seen. So, you know, absolutely, man. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And yeah, we're definitely gonna be back on. And
yeah, we definitely going to get you back. But before you leave, I got to throw this $1 million question out. How many of you on the panel remember the midnight basketball program that was happening all across the country,
man,
back in the early 80s?
I played in it.
Midnight.
I started playing the midnight basketball when I was 16.
Okay, now tell me if I'm wrong or if I'm right. When I was living, at the time, I was living in an area called the Fillmore area of San Francisco. That was the area that was where all the black people live. Fillmore, Hunters Point, Bayview, Hunters Point, things of that nature. Crime actually went down because you had young brothers that became a part of the midnight basketball program, and part of the prerequisites to it was job training, education, counseling, trying to create truce between gang members. And they said that there was a decrease in drug sales and some of the mischief that was going on in the streets, and the police were not making their quotas like they were before. And all of a sudden, City Hall said, "Oh, we ain't got no money for midnight basketball no more." And then I personally think that they got rid of it because it was I'm gonna say it again, it was too goddamn effective because they want us locked up. Now, y'all that grew up, you brothers that grew up in Baltimore, did you see some similar patterns? I know Baltimore is different as a different animal. Every city has its own, issues. But you see any impact of the midnight basketball program when you were that very young person then?
Man, when you said it, you seen how all of us got excited because it brought back memories for all of us.
Yeah.
That, I think it was an awesome thing, and even in the area that we live in now, and some of us growing up in, it's the Columbia, Maryland area, in Howard County, Maryland. We used to have midnight basketball here, and it was, I mean, it was a centralized place where all the young folks, a lot of black folks hung out. We got to watch some good basketball, and it was something good to give us. It was something to give us to do, right? And that somehow went away, right?
Right.
And even in this area, the Columbia area is not a high crime area, but you started to realize that our people, our young boys, started to get into little dumb shit, little petty things that they were doing out of boredom. And if you trickle to Baltimore, how it affected Baltimore on a greater level is the boys and girls clubs in the rec centers. Same concept, but they started to take those away. They didn't have money for it. Now they wonder why our children are in the streets and doing things because they don't have anything to do and anywhere to go. And I know Baltimore is known across the world as a high crime area, but I guarantee you, if we looked at the numbers, and look back in the days when we did have rec centers and boys and girls clubs and things like that for our kids to go to, I guarantee you, the numbers would be down. So it definitely had an effect from what I've seen. Look. Once it was here to when it was gone, and I think it was a great thing. And like I said, man, once you brought it up, you see how excited we got because
look, man,
it was childhood memories for us.
I'm just saying, dog. You think about it. Just think about it. You hooping 12 midnight. You hooping 3 basketball games. Ain't nobody got time to go do no dumb shit, shoot nothing up, or go sell nothing. You don't hoop 3 games of basketball. By then, it's like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. You ready to go home and relax, and then it's the next day. You know what I mean? So, absolutely, it was a ploy to take it out. I didn't know it was to an extent of police were expressing that they weren't getting their nightly quotas, but I definitely feel though there was a ploy to break it up.
Well, the reason why I said that because I knew people that were on the police force where I lived. Mm-hmm. It was basically brothers that were in the police force, and they sort of admitted that the numbers were going down because young men were involved. And we had y'all probably remember this too, back in the day, and I'm not saying it's different now, but just back in the day, you always had the older statesmen, you always had the older black men in the community that worked in these rec centers that would keep your ass in line, right? Yeah. They would they could talk to you. Nowadays things are a little bit different. You can't talk to these kids like you could in the past because everybody is, texting. There's no verbal skills as much anymore. But back when I was growing up, you had respect for these older black men who ran the rec centers, who ran the counseling. And then in my neighborhood, you had the Nation of Islam who got involved in the program as well. So you had that connection to it on that level. So I find it interesting that in the year 2020, nobody is talking about let's put money to revamp the midnight basketball program. And that's what I mean when I say when you defund the police, it's not a matter of getting rid of the police, but it's a matter of trying to take some of that money and create programs that can decrease crime. For example, Oakland, California. I did a podcast on that. Oakland had an actual police department in their school system. They just got rid of it. Guess what they got? They got $2.5 million back to their budget that can be better used for the youth of their school district, the Oakland Unified School District in California, the town as we call it. So to me, it's a no-brainer. To me, it's a no-brainer. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right.
Nah, I agree.
I agree. Totally agree.
Yeah, I know.
Money back.
Brandon used to get crossed over a little bit in midnight basketball.
Well, first of all, I'll say this. Yeah, I played in a midnight basketball league out in Columbia. We didn't have all of those qualifications we had to meet that you described to get into that league. But I wasn't supposed to. Like out here, I think the minimum age is supposed to be like 18, but they let me start playing when I was 16. But it definitely gave us something to do. I think what the games took place in the same neighborhood I lived in out there. So it was taking place at Howard Community College, and my parents, their house was right across the street. So I think part of the argument of yeah, the crime was going down. Numbers might have been going down across the county or whatever. But, you did have residents complain about people hanging out, late at night around their neighborhood and stuff like that. But that being said, even if that's the case, it's all in one place. It's all in one place. And, there would be times where, police would come up there. But just like you said, my father was a coach in the league, and we had other community leaders, Mr. Daniels, Mr. West. We have people that, older men that they weren't getting paid for this. They volunteered their free time, and you're right. And also you had a lot of older players too, because it was like 18 to 25. So you had some older brothers there, that I know me going to the games. There were some brothers there that I used to show up to just watch them play, So it was like it was a lot of positives there. And to be honest with you, I actually got let go of a summer job because I chose to play midnight basketball instead of work. It meant that much. I looked forward to it that much. My manager was like, okay, you either gonna be here or you gonna play ball. And I was out. So, I mean, I do wish they would bring that back because it was a lot of fun. And it did keep a lot of brothers out of trouble.
Yes, indeed, it did. You're looking at one of them who stayed out of trouble because of sports and having the older black men in the community mentor. Because I grew up where I knew, my mother and father divorced, and he remarried. So I have, brother and sisters back there in the B-More area. And my father wasn't in my life always. So it was the older gentleman in the neighborhood that I grew up in California who sort of raised me along with my mother. I mean, I come from the generation, y'all gonna probably laugh. Maybe y'all part of that generation too. I'm a Generation Xer, where if the damn lights were on in the yard, in the streets, you best to be in the house before those street lights come on. And if you weren't, the neighbors could reprimand you. You can get your ass whipped, and you're gonna get another whipping when your mom or dad came home. That's the kind of neighborhood I grew up in. That was an old school neighborhood. If I got caught stealing at the store, the man who ran the store said, "I know your mother, I know your father. Don't worry, you gonna pay for that one way or the other." That's how it was. That's how it was. We're a long way from that now, of course, because we're in a society where you can be an individual and be whatever you want, and all that kind of shit. But brothers, let me just do this. I don't mean to take up all your time on a Saturday. I wanted to say this. Thank you for bearing with me through some of the boo-boos. I don't normally make these kind of boo-boos, but you know what? I got you over to the first channel, and in the end, this turned out to be a great stream, and I'm going to promote it. Probably going to get a lot of good views on this after the fact of this video as well. And I'm going to, like I said to you, I'm going to definitely holler out y'all name when I go live and things of that nature to tell people to come and support what you brothers are doing. So I want to thank you all, brother, Brandon, brother Mike, Alex, my man OTR.
Quan.
I'm just glad, Quan, brother OTR Quan. Quan. But I'm just glad that you all came on board today, and you were very gentlemen with dealing with some of my technical problems that I had today. I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me, but we got to do it again. I appreciate you, brothers. I'll be looking from afar, listening from afar on your podcast and telling other people about your podcast. So I appreciate you all in doing the things that you brothers are doing. And you're in B-More, so I know you brothers are solid already. I know y'all solid.
We appreciate the love, and we appreciate the support and everything. And we're going to be doing the same thing too, man. Shouting you out as well. And supporting as well from the East Coast, man, and that's what it's all about.
Right. I gotta connect y'all with my brother Wink. I got a brother named Wink in Baltimore, and he's kind of in the music business and the music game. I gotta try to connect him with you guys, man. So okay. he's kind of in the music business or in that whole genre, and he travels and what have you. So I'm gonna send this to him if he's not watching already, because he's in Baltimore too. He's living in that area, and try to connect him with you brothers. And let me say, I got a super chat by Alan, so thank you.
Thank you for the super chat.
And I got another super chat sticker from Micah. Thank you again for that super chat.
Thank you for the super chat.
Okay. So brothers, this is what I'm gonna do. I gotta get your YouTube channel in the description of this video. I'm gonna put that in there. If you send me anything by email or on the or the IG, but you should have my email now. Send me whatever information that I can utilize to put that out there on my social media, and also to promote what you brothers are doing on my channels and all that kind of stuff. Do whatever you can to get that information to me. I think this is fantastic. So thank you.
Will do, man. We
Absolutely.
appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Right. Don't be surprised
you.
if don't be surprised if you hear from somebody else that may want to have you on their platform to talk to you brothers too. That when I put the good word out about you brothers. So thank you again.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We're all for it.
We welcome that, man. Listen, OTR podcast, we're a movement. Crossover media is coming, man.
Right on. I got to get me some merchandise, some merch. Give me one of them shirts. Yeah, I'm working on merchandise as well. I got to put a little something together too. But I like that. I like that. What you brothers are doing here again. Let me see. What else can I say? So once again, brothers, glad to have you here. Let me say what's up to Sister Natural, Beverly, Noble Williams is in the house. Sister Sticky Girl. Thank you all for being here. I'm bad with names, everybody, but you all get the sentiment, my love and sentiment that I'm trying to give everybody. So, brothers, I'm gonna get ready to get on out here and give my last announcements to everybody in the chat room, because I'm gonna be going on live later on tonight talking about the Jada. And that's, wait a minute, before you guys leave, the Jada Pickett and Will Smith. I had a chance to look at him talking to her on the red table, and one of the things that I noticed on that red table is the first thing she kept saying was about what she needed to do for herself. I never heard her say to Brother Will, I'm sorry, husband. It was more about her trying to, that was my opinion of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy you say this, because I think we're scheduled to anyway, as soon as we jump off with you, to hop on our platform and talk about that as well. So it's some things about that whole situation that didn't sit well with me. So I agree with you. It did seem like it was all about her, and Will just kind of, I commend them for sitting there. I know it was tough, but it's some things about that I wasn't feeling.
Remember the last time he had an issue with her? He had said he had popped her up the side of the head with a paper, because he didn't want to put hands on her, which I'm pretty sure he probably did. I made this prediction last night. I was on Brother BMT's program, and he'll be on with me later on tonight. It's Black Male Talk. He's on YouTube. I believe that this might be the last straw that Will is going to take from her. I believe that they are going to end up in a divorce. At some point in time. I believe Will is already in the back of his mind saying, this, what's got one more time.
Yeah. I mean, to drag him on like that and actually put that business out there, and for him to, like I said, for him to sit and stew in it, man, it's just disgusting. I'm sorry. I just, and then for her to use her words and try to, justify it of how this disgusting. But hey,
it is what it is, gentlemen. That it is. Well, brothers, thank you for being here. We're going to do this again. I'll be in contact with you so that we can do a part 2 version of this podcast, this broadcast, this YouTube thing that we're doing here, this program. I want to thank you once again for coming on. I'm going to give you all, brothers, a clap because you deserve it.
Tell the truth.
Yeah, we were telling the truth today, for sure.
For sure.
Tell the truth.
All right, brothers, we'll take care. We'll be back in contact very soon. Peace to you. Thank you for being a part of the Information Man show.
Peace
to you, brothers. Peace. Well, everybody, that was the Off the Record podcast. Let me just say to everybody that's been a part of my audience today, Somehow I made a little bit of a boo-boo earlier today. I have the Jada Pickett program later on tonight where we're going to delve into that issue about Jada Pickett. That will be on later on tonight on the second channel, the Information Man Speaks podcast. I do that radio style, a whole different style over there. So make sure you catch that program later on tonight. Looks like everybody in the chat room definitely enjoyed these brothers coming on here. And I'm glad to see everybody that showed up. Make sure that you share this video in your personal social media, because I think more people need to hear this program. We touched on a lot of issues. It was very interesting, and I really enjoyed these brothers tremendously and got to have them come back. So let me go through the line here and get people's input. Let's see. Back to the Basics says, it wasn't a marriage anyway. It was Hollyweird. That's true. Now we got Sister B. She says, technical difficulties happening. Uh-oh, the technical difficulties? What's happening? Is the sound borking? Let me know if the sound, because I'm going to end it right now. Great conversation is what the sister says here. Okay. Everybody, is my audio sound okay? Okay, sounds clear, because StreamYards be tripping sometimes. I know that. Okay, so everybody, come on over. I got to redo that particular stream. I got to reset it up in my second channel all over again. But I will be doing the Jada Pickett discussion with the real Dana, Brother BMT of Black Male Talk, and myself later on tonight on the second channel, the Information Man Speaks podcast channel. If you have not subscribed to that channel, let me put this on the board for you right now before I end this right now. You see that right now. Check out the second channel. Definitely subscribe to that channel and share. Peace to everybody in the chat room that's come over. I think we had Lucille A. Lucy. Sincere A. Lucy was over here today. We got Nicole. We got Noble Williams, who's come in the house. Peace to you, brother. We've had Earl Owens. Okay. And we've got the Black on Black Love, who super chatted me. And I must say I appreciated that. We got Dallas Slade, who's come in the house. Who else? Who do I need to give some respect to? Oh, my God. We got Yoga with Mo. Yoga with Mo. I have not forgotten you. I still plan to bring you on the program. I just got a lot of people booked, but I am going to get you into the rotation very soon. So much love to you, most definitely. I am going to get you on the program, no doubt. We got MZ. B-Town is in the house. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you for being here. 3D Burns. We got the lovely Panda's Hair. I'm doing the best I can to say the names because I am bad with names. We got Victoria, who's in the house. Thank you, sister, for being here. Tiffany Jackson, who's come over. She says, peace, family. And who else did I miss? And I'm going to say, yeah, thank you for the super chat, Black on Black Love. $5 super chat. I really appreciate everyone who super chatted me today.
Thank you for the super chat.
So let me see who else is in here. So everybody, if you can, if you go on the page of my YouTube, of this YouTube channel right now, I need you immediately to stroll down my page and you'll see the second channel, Information Man Speaks podcast. Subscribe to that channel right now. Soon as I end this show right now, I'm going right over to my second channel and I'm going to start putting together the show. I made a big mistake by having those brothers on that particular show, which was supposed to be for a whole nother purpose. So I was kind of embarrassed by that, but it ended up working out in the long run. It ended up being a great show, which I'm very happy about that. So make sure you immediately go over and subscribe to that channel if you have not, and get ready for a dynamic show later on tonight. Peace and love to you all. This is the Information Man Speaks. I was going to say Speaks Podcast. It's the Information Man Show. And also Speaks Podcast, because I need to get Get your behinds over there and subscribe. Everybody that's listening, go over there and subscribe to that channel right now because we're going to have a great show tonight. So thank you. Love you all. And let me get on out of here, everybody. Peace. And let me put this advertisement up for the second channel.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Information Man
Tell
Show.
the truth. Tell the truth.
Do you want truth?
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
If you don't want truth, this is not the channel for you.
Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Tell the truth.
Yes. Truth.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
In the White House, I'm not gonna say his name.
Jack Lake.
Tell the truth.
If you want truth,
Tell the truth.
the Information Show is the place for you. Truth.
Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make
We're
sure
trying to examine, open up one's mind, and understand the shit that's happening in American society and around the world. Information Man Show.
Information is power.
We got to ring the bell to wake the world up.
Information is
Tell the truth.
power.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth. Information is
Tell the
power.
truth.
Information Man Show.
Tell the truth.
Yes.
Tell the truth.
Tell the
Tell the
truth.
truth. Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please
In the
make
White
sure to
House,
subscribe to his
I'm not gonna say
channel.
his name.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
We will make America great again.
You need truth.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
That's right. Truth. This is the Information Man Show.